Hey everyone, Jeri Bellini here. Welcome to the Little House in Pennsylvania and Happy New Year. Today is January 1st, 2025. Oh, I can hardly believe it. Where does the time go? So I would like to start off the new year with a gratitude journal. And it's not going to be elaborate. It's going to be super simple because I want you to watch this video, go into your art space, wherever that is, dining room, kitchen, if you have an art room. And I want you to grab some paper and a few supplies. So I want you to make a very simple journal so that we can start being grateful immediately, okay, on day one. Now, the plan for this is, and I had so many different ideas and just kept coming back to simplicity. The plan is to make 4 signatures, okay? So we'll talk about the paper in depth in a second. So there's 4 signatures. That's what you need. You need something to stitch them. I like to use wax linen. I do have a link below where I get my wax linen on Amazon, but you can use any kind of thread that you have that's sturdy enough that's going to hold these pages together. All right, I just like wax linen. You're going to need a needle to do the stitching with, and a bookbinding needle, or I use a tapestry needle. It just has to have a decent size eye. And all right, it doesn't have to have a really sharp tip if you poke the holes already, but you get the gist, okay? Any needle will do. A piece of scrap paper. The piece of scrap paper needs to be as tall as your book. So these pages happen to be 4.5 inches wide by 6 inches tall, approximately. So this piece of paper is 6 inches tall, and it doesn't matter how wide it is, but this is about 1.5 inches, and you're just going to fold it in half like that. Just set that aside for the moment. This is a little something I'm going to use to wrap this up, and I'll show you that in a minute. You're going to need a scissor maybe. And this book, don't let it fool you. This is just to help me do the binding, okay? This happens to be a book that I like to draw in. This was my mother's book, so I just drew pictures in it. But this is going to work just fine. So any book that you don't mind puncturing maybe a little bit, all right? So let's push this stuff out of the way and talk about the papers in here. I want you to just go into your room, wherever, if you're a jelly printer, if you collect papers, if you have papers from an Amazon box, if you have a brown paper bag, if you have anything, okay? So you'll see, because I'm going to show you what's in here. I have a box on the floor that's just stuffed with random papers that I just thought were cool and just kind of put them in a box. So you're going to make 4 signatures, okay? The goal here is to have 52 pages in this journal. So every week we're going to write on, we're going to take 1 page, and this is going to be, week 1. So decide what day of the week you want to start your week. So I start my week on a Monday. So I'll sit down this coming Monday, which will be, I think, I don't know what the date is, because today's the first. I am so confused about the date and the time. But this coming Monday, which will be January something, 6th maybe, I'm going to start this, and I'm going to write the date at the top, and then I'm going to keep this for the whole week. I'm just going to keep writing on this page all week. Now, if you feel like you want to be wordy and you want to write sentences, you might run out of room, or you might want bigger papers. My plan is to write, for example, I had the littles this past weekend. And not weekend, I had them Monday. See what I'm saying about the time and the dates with the holidays? So I had them on Monday. So I might write the little slept over. I might write, I got a yellow cup, or yellow cup for Christmas. I'm going to keep it simple. I might write snuggle with the dog. Just really simple. I might write one word. I might write new recipe. Well, that's 2 words. I might write sunny. You know, I'm going to keep it fairly simple, but if you want to like write out like long sentences, then make your pages bigger. Or instead of making 52 pages in your book, you might want to make more books. So I'm going to leave that up to you. Each booklet, each signature contains 16 writing surfaces. Okay, so that's the front and the back, if you're not familiar with bookmaking. And this is 4 pages. Okay, let me open this up. So 4 pages will give you 16 writing surfaces. All right. My little booklet things are going to give me a total of 64 writing surfaces. So that's going to give me extra more than 1 page for a week. You can keep going, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in a minute. You can keep going. You can make more of these if you want to, okay? You can make just a small amount. So you can start off by making 1 set of 4 pages, okay? That'll get you through at least 2 weeks, right? And then you can decide, I see I'm writing out these long sentences. I'm going to need more. Let me explain to you now what I'm doing. So I just went through my stash and just folded stuff weird. I could tape another piece onto this. I could do some artwork in here, and I'll show you as we go along if I do anything. Or I might just be so busy doing everything else that I might just want to write down what I'm grateful for and call it macaroni. So I just have some, this is like cardstock that I love ripped edges. So I just ripped that, and I love this stuff. I always have loved that. So I always include that. This happens to be a piece of handmade paper that I don't know where it came from. I found it. So that's there. And this, I loved jelly printing. I haven't done it in a long time, but I do it a lot with the littles. And so this is just a piece of jelly printed paper. I think it's mixed media paper, so it's got some, you know, stability there. And 4 pages, that's it. I just feel it's manageable, the 4 pages. I'm going to show you each one because they're just a little bit different. So this one, okay, there's the handmade paper, there's the cardstock, there's the jelly print that wasn't really big enough to make a whole thing, so I folded it off. But this was the cover to a watercolor book, and I always rip these off and save these. So it's like a piece of watercolor paper, but it's got this. So basically, I love to use this because I love this. What I'll do when I go to write on this is I'll take a piece of paper, cut it out, and I'll glue stick that down, and then I'll write on top of there. So this particular piece was much wider. So I folded it like that. I was going to rip this off, and then I said, no, I'm going to leave it. Okay. So it's going to be like a little tip out. Okay. So that's just a little interesting thing. If you've made journals before, you know all this. It's all old hat. But if you haven't, because I haven't really done any bookmaking on this channel since I came back. So maybe if you're new to me, you're expecting stitching or whatever. I don't know what you're expecting, but you won't be expecting a book. So that's why I'm going into depth with explaining this. And there's so many bookmakers on YouTube. It's amazing. So like I said, I just want to keep it simple. So that's the second one. So this third one is the same thing. I just repeated it, okay? And then this one has another piece of that. This is a different pad altogether. See, there's the top. It had the piece of tape at the top. I just pulled it off, and that just got folded weird and blah, blah, blah. You get the gist, okay? So when I put them together, they're kind of like the same size. So now, It took me, I'm going to say, no more than 10 minutes, honestly, to pick out 4 sets of 4, which gives me 64 surfaces. Now, as I said in the beginning, you can start out just do 1, or you can do 4, you can do more than 4, because we are not going to put a cover on this, okay? My idea, because I want to keep it simple, is to take something, anything, ribbon, string, make some cloth twine. I have a video on how to do this. And this is my idea. Okay? So we're just going to bundle them together. All right? And after we stitch them, I'm going to stitch them. I'll show you how to do the binding. I am going to bind each one of these so that they're not going to be falling apart. And what my plan is, I'm going to take one of these and keep this on my desk. Okay? And this is good for 16 days. Potentially, it is good for 16 days. If you get wordy and you take more than one page for a week and you spill over to the next page, then you will need to make another booklet at some point. I hope that makes sense. Okay? Since you have extra pages, if you don't want to start by writing out here, you can just open it up and start writing in here. If you chose something and you can't write on it, like this is jelly printed and maybe the pen you have doesn't write, get yourself a piece of paper and glue stick it in there and write on that. So this will stay on my desk. I don't have a lot of room on my desk. I don't want a big fat book on my desk. This is going to stay on my desk. And I'm going to see it and write on it every day. Okay? All right. So let's go to the next step. You got your signatures. Okay? We're just going to do one together. So here's how I do my books. There's a million different ways to do them. Just going to kind of line up my papers however I want to line them up. I'm using the book. I'm using the crack of the book to put this in there, right? So that I can get the holes punched. So that's the first thing you're going to do is punch the holes. And I do not know where my awl is. I can't find it. So I'm just going to use a needle. So what's this paper for? So I fold this paper in half. Remember, it's the size of the pages. I fold it in half this way to find the center. Okay? And then here's what I did. I folded it in half, and then I folded this down, and I didn't even measure it. I just eyeballed it. I always like to go at least an inch in off the edge when I'm binding a book, and this is actually 1.25 inches. Okay? So I just folded it down. Now, so you can see what I'm doing. That's the first fold. That's the middle fold, and that's the last fold. And if it's not even, it's not even. It is not the end of the world, okay? So there we have it. Let's fold this way so now we can see it. Okay, so I'm going to lay this in here and just make sure that the paper is where it needs to be. And it's not a bad idea to put the letter T up there, so you know this is the top. Okay, you don't need to put B down there, but you'll remember that. That's the top of the book. So you always want to lay this piece of paper in each signature this way. Okay, so there you go. I wish I could find my awl. I looked all over my room. So this is going to be a little awkward. So here's my pin, but this is what you can do if you don't have something. And push that pin down. And of course, this is watercolor paper. So, okay, I felt it. It went all the way through. So see, I'm right at that line. And it went all the way through into the book. And the book, I'm just going to turn it. using the book, it allows you to get right in the crack. So that you're right on the edge. Now, what I did forget to do was hold these together. So hold on one second, because I'm so brave. I have clips that I use, but if you don't have clips, okay, K3N uses these giant paper clips, so I just thought I'd get one of these out just for fun. And you can put like a giant paper clip. Okay, just like that. Let's use the paper clips. Okay. All right, so now I got that hole in there. So now I'm going to put a hole here. You get the idea. And I felt it go into the book. And then another one right here. Okay. Okay, so now we've got 3 holes. Yep. I can just move this out of the way. Thank you, Mom, for your help. Thank you, Mom. Okay. Now I'm just going to make sure the hole is nice and a good size so that my needle will fit through there. And now we're ready to do our thread. I always do 3.5 times. That's probably overkill, but 1, 2, 3, and I always do just a little bit extra. And you can have your string on the outside or the inside. You're not. And I'm going to put mine, where am I going to put mine? I think I'm going to put mine on the inside. Okay, so you're going to start in the middle. And it's a good idea to take this, this little piece of paper off. Okay, because we're going to use that template again in a minute. So you're just going to start in the middle and leave yourself a tail here. So you put your hand there, put your finger there, or you could put a piece of tape there if you feel like, you know, you're not going to remember to keep your finger there. And I would use artist tape so that you can get it off easily. Okay, so see that? I started in the middle, came out around, and I did forget to mention, I always like to stretch my wax linen before I do this, because it does stretch, believe it or not, on its own. So if you stretch it first, then your book won't loosen up. That was a trick that we used to do in the bead store all the time. We always stretched our beading thread so that our jewelry didn't loosen up. Yeah. And for those of you that are new, I owned a bead store for about 12 years. And I think I'm going to do some beading things here on this channel, because I have like a bajillion classes that I taught. Okay, so now you see that, how simple that was? That's just called a pamphlet stitch. Now, and look at all this extra thread. So don't listen to me and do three times. Just do less. Okay, now I'm tying a knot here in the middle, and what I like to do is take my thread and go under there on the opposite side, so that the knot stays right down in the corner. See that right there? That's it. Yeah, this is way too much thread. So you could do 2 times probably. You could see I didn't do this video ahead of time. Okay, that's it. That's all we're going to do. I'll use this for the next signature. That's it. And I'm going to, just now we're going to remove that. Okay. You can see I didn't go overly crazy with adjusting my pages. I just kind of put them in there, and that's it. So I actually finished binding all 4 of these, and I might need to make more. I'm going to hang really loose with this. So, but I have 4 of them. I'm going to take one and put it aside, and this one is going to stay on my desk so that I can start putting my gratitude in there. And then my piece of cloth twine, I just happen to have this piece of cloth twine, and it happens to be 6 feet long. I don't feel like cutting it, so what I'm going to do is take the other 3 and just wrap that around, and then just tie it a little bit, and then I'll just put that on my shelf. Okay, it's really cute. Just put that on my shelf. And this way, if I need to make more of these booklets, I won't run out of twine. I'll have plenty. So if I went, who knows, I could wind up with 10 more of these or none. Because as I'm working in each little signature, I might get a little wordy. I might doodle. I might decide to just draw a little something in there. You know, I like to make scribble people. Maybe I'll draw a scribble person in there. Or maybe if my grandkids come over, maybe I'll let them draw something in there. I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it really simple and hang really loose with this and go with the flow. So it's a very simple thing to do. You could always make 10 more. It'll take you 20 minutes. And that's it. All right, I hope you like this idea. And I hope you'll join me in being grateful for the year in 2025. And I hope you'll be grateful forever. But let's go one day at a time. And remember what I always tell you, to keep moving. Just play, no rules. And remember to find something to be grateful for each and every day. And now you have your little journal. And before I leave you, I did want to read something to you. Give me one second. Brian happened to see this on the internet the other day and mentioned it. It really struck him. We talk about this all the time. And here it is. It is a quote, and I believe it is from Kevin Costner, but he might have heard it someplace else and just put it on his feed. And it says, "If you want to be happy, have 0 expectations of others. Take 100% responsibility for your life and be grateful for what you have." And it really hit home with both of us. And so I am going to doodle that out and stick it on my wall as a reminder. And I thought I would share it with you. And, you know, you might want to do the same. I think I'm going to write it in the front of my book. Yes. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope if you're not a subscriber that you will consider subscribing. And I hope to see you in my community down in the comments. Bye for now.